Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sonia, certified life coach, self-love advocate, and host of Let the Lady Speak podcast, where we have healthy discussions about life, love, dating, and relationships while promoting self-love, healing, and healthy dating. Here on my YouTube channel, I am going to discuss Married at First Sight, season 14, episode 13, and I'm just going to give my perspective, a little insight, and just some commentary. But first and foremost, if you are new to my channel, if you're a new subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Welcome to the family. We are so happy to have you. If you are passing through, thank you so much for stopping by. Please thumbs up if you like the content. Leave a message below or come on and join the family. If you are coming back, hey family, welcome back. Good to see you. I hope all is well. Okay, so let's get into tonight's episode. I really don't have a lot to say, only because it's a little bit of more of the same. On this episode, the experts came and met with the couples just to kind of see where they were. And I really wish that they could watch playback, especially Olajuwon and Katina. I wish they can watch playback to see their interactions and how that looks and how they show up, and then give them some guidance as to the behavior, because we always look at our behavior through our lens and with our perception, and some people flat out are in denial about their behavior, and you have to kind of show them proof, right? Or they don't think it's as bad, or it may be normal for them. Certain conversations may be normal. Elijah is always talking about how everyone knows that's how he is, and it's how he talks, and it's how he acts, and I don't know if he's ever seen himself to know that that behavior really isn't acceptable. It isn't caring, it isn't compassionate, and it isn't respectful within his relationship. I would have loved for them to have the couples sit down with the experts and then kind of walk them through and talk them through some of the things they have concern about. But they don't do that. Okay. So first we see Noi, and I really feel like Noi has a different kind of resentment for Steve, and I'm not sure anymore if it's just about him getting a job. I'm not sure anymore if it's just about the 9 to 5. She kept side-eyeing him, and I was like, there's something else there. So I'm wondering, like, Nori, are you really attracted to Steve? Has something else happened? I just feel like there's another problem there. There's something else brewing inside of Nori. She has these other sides that are really off-putting to me. And I know I've talked before about her immaturity and things like that, but there's something else going on. And I'm not sure, again, that it's just about him getting a job. I also think she just wants him to do what she wants him to do. I don't know, but there's something else there, and I can't put my finger on it. But she starts off by recording, and she talks about how important communication is. And Noah, you're the one not communicating. Like, I get it. She wants Steve to say exactly what the financial plan is. And I do think Steve should do that. I think he doesn't have to give up all of his information, but I do think he should. However, we keep hearing Steve say, I'm trying to have these conversations with her. I think he wants to have these conversations offline, but she won't have them offline. And that's why I think there's something else. I think there's another issue. I think this is, the hill she decided to stand on, but I think there is a mountain somewhere else, and we're not getting it. That's just my opinion. She meets with Pastor Kyle. Pastor Kyle tells Noy, it's not good for your relationship to post these posts. And she said, yeah, I understand. Pastor Kyle gives Noy some tools and tells her, why don't you tell him this is how I receive love? Like, I feel loved if you tell me about your financial status. Now, I don't know about that, but I know what he was trying to say. Basically, create an environment where I feel safe. I will feel safe, heard, and understood, and I will feel like you care if you would just address these issues with me. And Noi goes and does the opposite. She basically tells Steve it's her site and she can do what she wants to. And that is a sign of disrespect, in my opinion. And Steve basically said that. He's like, do you even care? Noy isn't being honest about more than just his financial concern, in my opinion. Steve goes and meets with Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper and him will talk about the same thing. For Steve, this is a boundary that I set up. And what have I said about boundaries? Boundaries are about safety, right? He has concerns about her posting things on social media without having a conversation with him. He would rather they handle their issues or concerns in-house and not put it out for public consumption, especially since his family follows her and he doesn't want his family to look at her differently or dislike her. But more than that, again, it's the mature thing to do to have these kind of conversations. Plus, how does the public know what your concerns are, but I am not aware of your concerns? That is just respect. That's respecting your mate and respecting the sanctity of your relationship. And she isn't doing that. Please forgive me. I just got my braces tightened, so a little sore. Okay. They're at the apartment later. And again, Noy does not follow through and communicate anything to Steve in a healthy manner. Instead, she kind of like shuts down and she's rolling her eyes and she's just looking annoyed. And it's like, Noy, what is going on? There's like to me, there's some anger there. And I think Steve is kind of getting it, but it isn't really for Steve. She has every right to say, I want to know what I want financial security. But I think for her, she wants him to do exactly what she wants him to do. And that's not going to work. I also think she's punishing him for things that have happened in the past. And I think there's something else that's happened that we don't know. Not that I think Steve has done anything, but I don't think she's being completely honest about what all her concerns are. That's just me. Because I'm like, if you had opportunity to talk about these things behind closed doors, why wouldn't you do it if it's that important to you? If that's the only problem you have, if that's the only issue you need to resolve is the finances, but he's been trying to talk to you about finances, why is that so hard? And then the other thing is Steve is kind of acquiescing, but not really. Like, my plan for my life was not to have a 9 to 5. I want to be creative. I want to think of a different kind of future for us. If he does get a job, he's going to resent her because that's not what he wants. At the end of the day, they have different views for what they want for their future. Instead, they're talking about having children. No, I don't think that should be the hot topic right now. You both know that you want children. That's not an issue, right? You don't care when you're going to have children. That's not an issue. But you guys want two completely different types of life. You want different lifestyles. You have different beliefs. That's huge. Those are the things that should be focused on, in my opinion, and not whether or not you're having children. Because later they're sitting at the table and they're going over things. Noy says, I want a separate bank account that we can have a household bank account. And he said, okay. Steve, I just need you to pick up the signs. She's saying she doesn't want to move in with you. She's hot and cold with you. She's posting these subliminals saying basically you're not enough for him, enough for her. And she's been disrespectful. Like, it's time to pick up on these signs and figure out what it is you want to do or how you want to move forward. Because she doesn't seem to want to work with you as well. I think a lot of times we put so much on the other person and we say, you make it right so I can figure out what I can do. Instead of us looking at what's happening, looking at the picture and saying, you know what, this is not right. I don't think I need to move forward, or I need to move differently, or I need to express that these are the things that I need. And if I can't get that, then I have to make a decision for myself in my life. They want two different lives. He's been accommodating. He's keep asking her, what can I do? What do you need? She would not give him that information. She won't use the tools, meaning the resources she has available, because she can reach out to the experts. She's just digging her heels in. And at this point, Stephen, you need to decide, what do you want to do, instead of keep trying to adjust for her, because you're not going to get what you want in the end. And then you guys are still going to have issues because you're going to resent one another, or you're going to resent her. So, I don't know. Next up, we have Lindsay and Mark. Lindsay and Mark, we discover, have so many childhood traumas, and Lindsay reminds Mark of his mom. She behaves the same way. And Mark met with Dr. Pepper. Mark met with Pastor Kyle, and Lindsay met with Dr. Pepper. And it was very interesting to watch Mark get a little emotional about him not wanting to be like his dad. They didn't really explore that more, at least they didn't show that on camera. But what I would say is this: Mark has the right not to want to live in chaos and not to be in a very volatile, argumentative type of environment. I really would love for the experts to do more to hold Lindsay accountable for her behavior. Pastor Kyle basically asked Mark if he was checked out. Mark said he wasn't, but I think he is. I think he cares for her, and he feels bad for her, so there's a place there, but I don't think he sees a future with her based on her behavior, because it's triggering for him. Her behavior is triggering, and nothing is being done to address those issues. Now, you have to manage your own triggers, but they are basically put in this box and they have to try to coexist. And no matter what he says to her, she won't receive it. Mark is saying, I need healthy communication. Lindsay is saying, I need communication. I need consistency, and healthy communication is consistency, and they are not the same. She takes digs at him all the time, and she won't acknowledge or recognize that how she comes off to him makes him afraid, makes him pull back, and puts a wall up. They're still very new. Like, I don't feel safe in this space with you, for me to kind of open up or for me to be consistent. Although I have said before, I wish Mark wasn't intimate with her. I wish there were certain things he did not do, because if he didn't do those things, it wouldn't lead her on. Like, he keeps telling her, I'm going to always protect you and things like that. But you don't know that, Mark, because you don't know if you even want to stay. So she's right with the inconsistencies, but still, no one is holding her accountable for her behavior and how that behavior is impacting their relationship. So both of them are kind of like in a standoff as far as I'm concerned. Pastor Kyle seems to think it'll be easy to manage Lindsay's behavior. Mark looked like, no, because it really isn't. You could tell it isn't. And again, I wish they could sit down, watch the videos, and see what's being said and see how her behavior is impacting. Like, just see and talk to Mark with respect. I don't think that's being acknowledged either. She's very disrespectful towards him. And like, what do you want him to do with that? What do you want him to do with the disrespect that he feels like he's getting? Lindsay told Dr. Pepper that basically when she acts like that, it's a cover and she's afraid. And, Dr. Pepper is trying to tell her to try to tell Lindsay to get in touch with her fear. So talk about how you feel, acknowledge that you're scared, which would make Mark probably, feel more comfortable with her if she just said, I'm scared or I'm afraid, versus what she does, which is lash out at him. And that's true, but I think there needs to be a conversation of, what are you afraid of? The bottom line, in my opinion, is that, Lindsay, I think when she's coping the way that she copes, I think that kind of makes matters worse. Okay. And I also think that, Lindsay has a lot of self-work to do. Everybody does. We all do. Right. But I really feel like, Lindsay is really hurting, and the source of that pain needs to be addressed. And she said, I'm sad all the time. And honestly, her being sad all the time, her being angry, all of these things, there really isn't anything Mark can do to fix that. And that's the bottom line. He can try to be consistent. He can try to do whatever, but at any moment, if anything is a little off, and we are all human and we're going to have off days. If he comes home and he had a bad day and he just want to be quiet, she's going to take that as an offense, and she's going to attack him until she learns to deal with those things. So that's it with those two. Next up, we have Jasmina and Mike, and those two talked in a circle like I've never seen. It was a circle. what's that movie? They were like, it's a circle. That was what that conversation with the two was like. It's like, I can't open up if I don't feel safe. Well, I can't open up if I don't feel safe. Well, I can't be intimate if I don't know you. Well, I don't know you. It's like they've gotten better, but there's still a standoff. And I think I'm going to give Mike credit where credit is due. Mike has been really trying, and I think Jasmina just isn't being honest either with us or herself or the experts about what's really going on with her. And I wish that would happen, because she says she doesn't feel anything when he touches her, but he needs to get to know her more. She needs to get to know him more, but he, he's opened up, and I get it. I think what she's trying to say, if I need to know why your past was the past. But we don't know anything about Jasmina. Other than what we learned at the very beginning, we haven't learned anything new about Jasmina. We haven't seen her open up in any kind of way. And it's like, okay, well, Jasmina, what is your fear? And is that fear present? Like Dr. Pepper told Lindsay, don't forecast. Basically, don't create your own narrative. What is the truth? Let's live in reality in the current time, in the current situation. And that's kind of what needs to happen here. Jasmina isn't acknowledging her lack of trying. Like, she put a wall down, and I won't discredit that. But honestly, there's still a wall there. She's just not as stern or mean or standoffish towards Mike. She's a little more welcoming, but she hasn't blossomed. She hasn't allowed him in at all either. And it's like, well, if you haven't given any vulnerability, why do you expect for him to give you more? He's talked about his traumas, every time you turn around, he's telling a trauma. He's talked about his traumas, and I do understand. I want to know who you are as a person. But Jasmina, he wants to know you too, So it would be interesting for them to have had that conversation of what's really safety for you. What does that look like? What do you feel like is holding you back? What's your fear? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid? What part of you do you feel like if you give up, it's going to be in danger? I would like that conversation for them too. But I think they're just going to be friends. I don't know if they're going to move past it. I don't know. And, Pastor Kyle told Mike that he should, touch her. And they were talking about duties. And according to Pastor Kyle, you can grow into love if you keep doing duties. I personally have to disagree. I'm one that believes that love is not only action, but it also is feelings and emotions. That's just me. And so Mike is saying, I don't want her to kiss me out of duty. Pastor Kyle is saying, well, if she keeps kissing you out of duty, eventually that would change, because Mike said, now when I do things for her, it's because I like her. Well, that's just because she's not constantly attacking him anymore, and they can actually kind of be cordial to one another. But that's not the same as, intimacy out of duty. Intimacy out of duty doesn't necessarily mean it's going to grow into love, right? There have been people married for 30 years and their intimacy is just that, it's duty, but it isn't fulfilling for one party at least. So I don't know. I don't know about what he was talking about there. I just feel like Jasmina, I would love for Jasmina to be a little more honest and talk about what her fears really are. Or if it's just, I'm not attracted, I wish she would say that as well. Whatever the case may be. Next up, we have Katina and Olajuwon. And they're at the grocery store. And neither one of them can cook, it looks like, or know what they're doing. And I just wish with Olajuwon, he would understand it's not what you say, it's how you say, number one. And number two, you can't hold her feet to the fire for things that you yourself aren't good at. It would be better for him to just say, you know what, I'll be your sous chef. We're going to learn this together. And if he wants her to be the main chef because he said he'll take care of the house. So I'm guessing that means he'll financially take care of the house if she cooks. I wish, he would just say that, number one. And number two, he would approach it differently. Baby, we gonna learn how to cook this together. I'll be your assistant. I'll do the prepping for you, But instead he takes digs, he tears her down. And I really, really, really have a problem with how he speaks to her. They meet with the experts. Katina's with Pastor Kyle. Pastor Kyle he loves promoting sex, and they don't need to have sex. I think they have had some form of sex. Maybe they haven't gone all the way, who knows. But Katina says she doesn't want to be dizzy, right? So basically she doesn't want to be blinded by the intimacy where she can't make a logical decision. So basically she's still guarding herself, which is fine because he's giving her reason to, right? He's been unstable, he's been unkind, and he's spoken to her in ways that, you don't speak to a person that you love and care for. And I found it interesting that Pastor Cal made that comment about them having intimacy or them being intimate, and it's okay to be hooked on your partner after she just talked about her concerns about how he speaks to her. So let's address how he speaks to her. How about give her some tools to combat that? Now, he did tell her to ask questions and find out why you act that way. But I would also like tools to say, you know what? Set up some boundaries, like encourage her to set up boundaries with this behavior, and to communicate to him how these behaviors are really making her feel. And again, boundaries with repercussions and things like that. I talked about that before. Elijah Wan meets with Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper brought up some of the behaviors that's been concerning to her and some of the feedback that she's gotten, and Elijah Wan got offended. And this is a moment where I wish they had played a video so he could see what everyone else is seeing. I think he needs to see his behavior because he doesn't really listen when you talk to him. So he gets extremely offended, and he interprets it as Katina's going behind his back complaining about him. No, there's camera crews around you, and you've done this in public amongst the table, your peers. So that's the issue. It's not Katina betraying you, because I knew that was his problem when he said, well, she doesn't want to be here. She could be here. She's talking behind my back. No, everyone can see this. You're being filmed, sir. And he doesn't want to deal with that. He doesn't want to be seen as the bad guy. He wants to see you like, I'm helping her. Elijah, you have to help yourself. You need to learn to be more loving and compassionate towards your wife. The way he talks to her is so problematic. And even he said in the conversation with Dr. Pepper, he made the comment, am I stern? You're not to be stern with your wife. That's not your child. It's like, oh, she's grown up. And I get that Katina comes off. You can tell that she's, I won't say naive, but you can tell she's been kind of sheltered. But you're not her parent. You're her partner. Partnership and parentship are two completely different things. I don't think there's a word called parentship. I made that up. I'm sorry. But they're two completely different things. And he feels like he is the parent in this relationship. But all this is him deflecting from himself. A lot of these things you yourself have issues with. So I wish they had dealt with that with them. Later, they're playing volleyball. Noi doesn't come because she's not feeling well. Steve was having the time of his life. He had his sunglasses on. He was the superstar of the team. And there was this conversation about meeting with the experts. Dr. Pepper is a sociologist, and she kept talking about making a bed. So I was like, oh, so you've done some Gottman theory training. Making a bed is basically when you do small things for your partner to it creates intimacy. It makes your partner feel seen and heard. They feel like the little things help in the big picture of the relationship, which is true. So Lindsay's making bids towards Mark to get affection and have conversation, but Mark was blocked off. Mark was blocked off because every time they think everything is okay, Lindsay throws a dart at him, and it causes him to shut down. So I wish they would just deal with that. Again, they don't ensure that Lindsay takes accountability for her behavior. Even Pastor Kyle was kind of like joking with her. And I'm like, you guys really need to help them too with that, because Mark is like hanging on by a spider web. He's not really there. And Lindsay is sad. And, I feel bad for her. But let's deal with the source of the sadness. Then Jasmine and Mike, more of the same. There's nothing there. right? Basically, they're friends. And I can tell that hurt Mike, but I think Mike is, again, he's just gonna move on. They get to Elijah, Katina and Elijah says Dr. Pepper didn't do anything for him. And again, I think Elijah might learn better by action. So it's important when you're dealing with people to know how they receive information. And he needed more action. I think if he saw himself, he would understand what everyone is saying and where there's room. But Katina was sitting there quiet and she just looked so tired and so exhausted. And I'm like, Katina, honey, you have to speak up at all times. You won't disrespect him by saying you feel disrespected or correcting or addressing behavior right then and there. She seems so drained and so tired, and I really feel for her. So I'm like, I don't know how you guys are missing that. I feel like that needs to be addressed as well. I really don't know with those two. I think they're going to stay together, but they have so many growing pains, and it's concerning to me. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Put them in a comment below. Thumbs up the video if you see fit. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I appreciate you being here. And please don't forget to love yourself for who you are. I'll see you next time.